Max Verstappen is one of the most dominant drivers in Formula One history. He's fast, fearless, and ruthless on the track, but with greatness comes enemies. Verstappen's aggressive driving style and no-nonsense attitude have made him one of the most controversial figures in the sport. And today, we're looking at 8 drivers who hate Max Verstappen, from title rivals to former teammates who felt betrayed. And trust me, some of these names will shock you. If there's one driver who will never send Verstappen a Christmas card, it's Lewis Hamilton. Their rivalry exploded in 2021, turning into one of the most heated title battles in F1 history. The tension was off the charts, with both drivers refusing to back down. Then came Silverstone, the British Grand Prix, lap 1 Copse Corner. Verstappen and Hamilton went wheel to wheel at over 290 kilometers per hour. Boom! Max was sent flying into the barriers in a 51G crash. Red Bull was furious, but Hamilton kept racing and won the Grand Prix. Max called it disrespectful. Christian Horner called it dirty driving.
The stewards will think of that.
Could Hamilton have done anything to give Max Verstappen room there and avoid that crash? He was on the inside, of course.
The drama wasn't over. A few months later, Monza. Both drivers collided again. This time, Verstappen's car landed on top of Hamilton's Mercedes. To this day, there's no love lost between the two champions. Their post-race interactions, awkward. Their interviews, frosty. And with Hamilton's move to Ferrari, you can bet this rivalry is far from over. Verstappen's own teammate can't stand him, at least that's what many believe after the Brazil 2022 Grand Prix. Perez had helped Verstappen win the championship in 2021, defending against Hamilton in Abu Dhabi like his life depended on it. But in Brazil 2022, when Red Bull asked Verstappen to let Perez pass for extra points, Max flat out refused. "I told you already, don't ask me again, I have my reasons."
I told you already last time, you guys don't ask that again to me. I gave my reasons, and I stand by it.
Perez was stunned. After the race, he fired back at Verstappen. Wow, he shows who he really is. From that moment, their relationship changed. And with Perez struggling to match Verstappen's pace in 2023, their rivalry inside Red Bull only got worse. If you ever wondered how aggressive Verstappen can get, just ask Esteban Ocon. In the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix, Verstappen was leading the race when Ocon, who was a lapped car, tried to unlap himself. Max refused to give space. They collided. Max spun out and lost the race.
What an idiot! What an idiot!
After the race, Verstappen hunted Ocon down in the garage, and when he found him, he shoved him hard, multiple times. Ocon laughed, but Verstappen, he was fuming. The FIA forced Max to do public service for unsportsmanlike behavior. And Ocon, to this day, he still hates Verstappen for ruining his own race. George Russell and Max Verstappen were once seen as the future of Formula One, two young stars destined to dominate the sport. But as their careers progressed, their rivalry turned heated. And in 2024, things hit a boiling point. Their first major clash came in Baku 2023 during the sprint race. Russell attempted a bold overtake on Verstappen, but Max refused to yield. They made contact, damaging Verstappen's side pod. After the race, a furious Verstappen stormed up to Russell in the paddock and called him a head way on live TV.
We all have no grip. You all need to leave a little bit of space.
Yeah, what's your point?
But expect the next time the same, you know?
Russell, caught off guard, simply replied, "If you don't leave space, what do you expect?" But 2024 is where their tension escalated. Mercedes, struggling with their car, saw Russell getting more aggressive with Verstappen on track. George Russell and Max Verstappen's relationship took a contentious turn during the 2024 season, culminating in a notable incident at the Qatar Grand Prix. During the race, Russell reported that Verstappen had blocked him during a qualifying lap, leading to Verstappen receiving a grid penalty. This decision sparked frustration from the Dutchman, who felt the penalty was unwarranted. Now fans are watching closely. Is Russell emerging as Verstappen's biggest threat, or is he just another driver Max will dominate? This rivalry isn't cooling down anytime soon. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen were once best friends, but now things are starting to turn ugly. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen's Verstappen's friendship faced challenges during the intense 2024 season. Their rivalry became particularly heated during the Mexico City Grand Prix, where Verstappen was penalized for pushing Norris wide, an incident Norris described as dangerous. Despite these on-track tensions, both drivers have publicly downplayed any personal animosity. In a preseason press conference in Bahrain, they humorously addressed questions about their relationship, joking about having a terrible relationship and pretending they'd had a fight in a pub.
No.
Yeah,
Big problem.
we had a fight the other day in a local pub.
Norris emphasized their mutual respect and eagerness for competitive racing, indicating that their off-track friendship remains intact. At one point, Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen were the ultimate Red Bull duo, two aggressive, talented racers going wheel to wheel at the front of the grid. But behind the scenes, tension was brewing, and by 2018, the relationship had completely broken down. It all started with Baku 2018, where their rivalry reached a boiling point. The two Red Bull drivers had been fighting aggressively all race, refusing to give an inch. Ricciardo attempted a move down the inside, but Verstappen squeezed him into the braking zone, resulting in a spectacular crash that took both cars out. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner was furious, calling it an unnecessary disaster. But deep down, Ricciardo knew this was the beginning of the end for him at Red Bull. The problem? Favoritism. Red Bull had slowly started building the team around Verstappen, giving him the long-term contract, prioritizing his race strategy, and subtly making Ricciardo feel like a second driver, even though Ricciardo was the more experienced driver. Then, during the Hungarian Grand Prix 2018, Verstappen collided with Ricciardo again, taking him out on lap 1. It was another sign that Max was willing to be ruthless, even against his own teammate. By mid-season, Ricciardo had enough. Instead of signing a new Red Bull deal, he shocked the entire F1 world by announcing his move to Renault. Many thought he was running away from Verstappen. Even Christian Horner questioned his decision, saying, "I think he didn't want to be Max's teammate anymore." In 2023, Ricciardo returned to the Red Bull family with AlphaTauri, but his relationship with Verstappen remains complicated. While both drivers appear friendly in interviews, the scars from their battles haven't faded. Deep down, Ricciardo knows Verstappen helped push him out of Red Bull, and that might be something he never truly forgives. Nico Rosberg has never raced Verstappen, but he hates him. As a Sky Sports analyst, Rosberg constantly criticizes Max, says he's not as complete as Hamilton, accuses him of being too aggressive, claims Red Bull makes winning too easy for him. Verstappen? He doesn't care. "I don't listen to retired drivers." Rosberg keeps throwing shots, but Verstappen never fires back, and that probably annoys Rosberg even more. Fernando Alonso knows what it takes to be a champion, and when people compared Verstappen's dominance to Hamilton's, Alonso wasn't having it. He shaded Max's achievements, saying Hamilton had to fight harder for his titles. Verstappen didn't appreciate the comment, and now they have a silent rivalry. Alonso still fights him hard on track, and Verstappen knows Alonso doesn't respect him. Max Verstappen is undoubtedly one of the most dominant drivers in Formula One history. His aggressive, no-compromise approach has made him a four-time world champion and the face of Red Bull racing. But with that dominance comes controversy and a long list of enemies. From Lewis Hamilton, his ultimate title rival, to Sergio Perez, his own teammate, Verstappen has clashed with some of the biggest names on the grid. Esteban Ocon still holds a grudge after their infamous 2018 pit lane altercation, while George Russell and Lando Norris are proving to be fierce new threats, with tensions only rising in 2024. Even drivers from the past, like Nico Rosberg, openly criticize him, and Daniel Ricciardo had to leave Red Bull just to escape Verstappen's shadow. And let's not forget the brutal battles with Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen. Just kidding, but it sure feels like it sometimes. So the question remains, is Max Verstappen truly the most hated driver in F1, or is he simply a misunderstood genius who pushes the limits of competition? Let us know in the comments. Do you think Verstappen deserves all the hate, or are these rivalries just part of racing? And if you want to see more insane F1 stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Because in Formula One, the drama never stops, and neither does Max Verstappen.